Right, this is the Legislative Affairs Committee. This is Thursday, September 3rd. We're about 6:04 p.m. And I have Councilor Sani.
Here.
I have Councilor Simonelli. I have Councilor Napolitano.
Here.
We have 3 members present. We do have a quorum.
Yeah.
Please stand and salute the flag.
The first piece of business, this is an ordinance brought by Councilor Sani to amend Section 13-7 of the revised ordinance disturbing the peace by reviewing the general sound meter measurements and the enforcement of violations.
Can we make a motion to invite the mayor's chief of staff? Melissa?
Melissa Rodriguez, Mayor DeMaria's Chief of Staff. I apologize, I have bronchitis, so I feel fine, but I have no voice. I don't know.
So we'll try not make,
Yeah.
we'll try not to make you talk too much.
Thank you.
So, what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to revise our disturbing the peace. We have a sound measure, with decimals and some kind of machine they use, and I'm trying to eliminate that, so the police will be able to use their own discretion and use some, other wording. And I know you had put together some from other towns, which I know some areas in it are really good, sections that I'd like the committee to look at.
Sure.
I know they just got it, so we can suggest what areas that I want to take out and then maybe put in, and then give some time for the committee at a later date to work with it.
Sure. So Councilor Sani contacted me because she felt it was difficult to base it on decibels. So if you look at the first page of the packet that you got today, this is actually an ordinance from Alaska. But in the first page, section 46-42, and it's a big packet, looks like this. You may not have got one, Councilor. I put them right on the front. Want me to grab you one?
I'll give it to
You
you.
sure? Let you get one before I. Oh, no, you have it, right? Is that it right there? Right there, yep. So this is an ordinance from Alaska. Yeah, this is a bunch of different ordinances from a bunch of different places. But on the first page, section 46-42, C, 1 and 2, they have a loud sound in a public place and a private place, and they define it. And I think that might be effective here as well. And they also have a section about dogs, which has been an ongoing issue and which Councilor Sani was concerned about. The second ordinance is from a township in Pennsylvania. They do a similar thing with their noise ordinance. The third and fourth ones are Malden and Boston, and they actually mimic what we have, which is the DBA. Or they also have a distance, so that their distance is clearly audible by a person of normal hearing at a distance of 100 feet from the source. So based on these, I think we could pull something together that's pretty good.
So, my concern was that, I'm getting complaints that you can hear it from another street over into someone's home. And I feel that our city is becoming, very diverse, people come in from all over, and it's hard for the police department now to, use this decimal, I believe. And I think if you can hear in your home from a street away, there's something wrong. I also got calls on dog barking. How long do we allow a dog bark before we start finding them or asking them, they need to bring them in? So, and we need the police to be able to, not just a dog officer, we need the police department to be able to knock on the door. I'm getting a call from myself to knock on the door. That's not what we're here for, because you don't know what people can retaliate. So, I'm gonna leave it to the floor. Councilor Napolitano?
All right, so, again, I understand what you're looking to do, and I definitely understand the need for it. I mean, I have neighbors that are two houses away from me that will have parties or events on the weekend. Irony is right at 11 o'clock, they shut it right down, which is kind of nice, speaks to their awareness and their consideration for the neighborhood. Currently, how do we, I know I was involved in the sound ordinance years ago. When we check for dB, for decibels, where is that equipment? How is it deployed? who has it? How long does it take to get it up and running?
I couldn't, it's a question we'd have to ask the police station. They're the ones who are manned with this ordinance. It's not ISD. I don't even know if we actually have the equipment. I think they actually go in and use maybe more of the nuisance law or the criminal aspect of it than they do this ordinance. So I'm not sure this ordinance is even effective for them right now. You know, the
I know
sound
we had
level-
equipment at
we
one
did
time.
at one time. At no time has the chief ever mentioned to me using his loud amplification device or anything like that. I can reach out and certainly talk to him about it, but he's never mentioned it, so I don't think that's something they're effectively using right now.
I mean, honestly, if we're using sound meters, I mean, I think ISD is more appropriate.
I would agree.
And have somebody that could be deployed by the police if they receive a noise complaint. Somebody go in there, so if they're reading and there is over a certain limit, they can bring the police in.
So maybe we should move this ordinance into section 13A. I mean, it makes sense.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm all in favor of fine tuning this. But, you know, like any ordinance, any law, I mean, it has to be enforced.
Right?
And if they're not enforcing it,
They're,
we're not accomplishing anything.
No,
That's
so-
my concern.
yeah, they're certainly using the criminal aspect of it. So there's a criminal aspect of disturbing the peace law as well. And there's a nuisance aspect that's in 13A. So they're using those aspects, but I don't think that, I don't want to speak for the chief, and we certainly should ask him about this, maybe invite him to the next meeting. I did send him an email and ask him to weigh in, and I didn't ask him about the use of the DBA monitor, but I asked him what he thought, and he agreed that it would be more effective to have a reasonable standard exist. But maybe it's something we should bring him in and ask him about the use of the DBA, because I don't want to speak, I'm not 100% sure on the answer to that. But I do think that some of the other ordinances seem more effective and more encompassing than the one we currently have. And if you remember correctly, the last time I think we talked about this, which is probably 5 or 6 years now, we talked about how the DBA rate is almost the sound of a loud dishwasher. And so, you know, a loud dishwasher standard, it's a difficult thing. That's how the chief always compares it to me, that it's the sound of a loud dishwasher.
Yeah, I'd actually like to see a reading off a loud dishwasher.
Yeah,
compare
and
to
see what that
does,
says.
Because
Yeah.
I'm not questioning any of that,
Yeah,
but I'm honestly, and I hate to put it this way, I'm sick and tired of opinions that are not validated by solid evidence. And
I agree.
You know,
I
so, I
understand.
mean, to me, it raises another question, which I don't want to raise right here.
No,
But I think
understood.
But I think it does need to be refined. Look, I'm all in favor of the hours being changed, you know, up to 11 o'clock gets to be nuts,
right.
especially if it's during the weeknight. You know, some people work weekends, you know, I work on Saturdays, so
Right.
if I can't go to, well, I wouldn't go to bed at 11 o'clock anyway, but that's neither here nor there. The big bottom line is that, I think it's a good idea to review these ordinances, but we need some feedback from the people who are doing the enforcement.
I agree.
Because without their cooperation, without their activity, we're just spinning our wheels, and I'm just tired of talk for no more than just to be able to talk. We need to be able to effectively address these issues. Because our
So-
residents aren't happy, and, you know, this is what's brought this up in the first place.
So under the nuisance law, it's not DBA, which is the law that they're currently using. It's just any loud and unnecessary sound or noise.
By whose opinion, though? That's the problem. When you start,
So
when
if you
weighing
continue-
in on an opinion, one person, two people could have two different opinions on whether or not it's too much or not enough. and
So
that's
it's the
problem.
ordinary sensibility, so the legal standard generally is ordinary reasonable person. And that's the standard that's used in our nuisance law, the ordinary reasonable person. Remember that both the police and ISD can enforce the nuisance law. So that's the law I think that they're more effectively using. But like I said, we should definitely ask the chief about the DBA, because I don't know if they're using that or not.
All right, thank you.
Council Simonelli?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no questions. I have a statement, but I don't have no questions for the chief of staff. More of a comment.
Go right ahead.
Okay, like I say, I agree with everybody here. It's the right thing to do. Again, it's hard to implement these processes because you seem like you have to be there when the sound's there or when the dog's barking. You know, and it's hard to get the police there or someone there with this meter, and it happens in my ward. And he said, the only way I'm complaining is when the dog barks, and he keeps barking. So, I mean, I went down there. I didn't talk to the person yet, but it's getting to the point where I'm gonna go down there, but you let the cops, been there many times. They say, "Hey, cut it down," and they go, half hour later, dog keep barking. And the same with the noise level, you know. I think it's a great piece, but like I say, we have to work on this and get some kind of order where we can actually define the noise and the dogs, you know, when they're there, you know, not when they're not there. Because it's okay, when they don't bark, or they don't, look, the noise on the phones there, the music. So I agree with everything here, and we look forward to tweaking it up. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to lay this piece over and invite the chief of police up so he can discuss about the decimal reading machine if we have one and if they're using it. And then we also can put something together, I can work with Melissa, try and put more into the ordinance and see what we want to take out and put in more. Favorable action. Motion to hold it over to the next meeting. All in favor? Item number 2.
Item number 2, this is a resolution up by Council Peter Napolitano and Councilor Michael Marchese that the awning ordinance be reviewed for amendments.
I do have some regrets that Councilor John Hanlon is unable to attend and Councilor Marchese. I'm not sure if they spoke with you or...
If I could, what I'd like to do is I actually like to hold this over. I have not had an opportunity to meet with Councilman Marchese, though I know what his intent is. I mean, and in that area, we've got a little different perspectives on this. I mean, I'm researching some information now because I want to be able to put some language in here to identify a business's right to be able to promote itself. Creating a brand, you know, is important to a lot of business. They spend, you know, major business spend millions of dollars doing that, and you know, we need to reflect that, I think, to some degree. Though at the same time, we're also not looking for things to go nuts and have all kinds of different colors. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to actually motion to hold this over until the next meeting.
Second the motion.
We're gonna lay the motion, lay it over, but do you want, this is a council rule, not an ordinance. Which way did you want to go with this, do you know?
Well, I still want to hold it over because, again, I don't have all the information I need to be able to make some changes to it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm not prepared at this time, and again, I haven't been able to sit with, you know, Councilman Marchese, who is actually part of the drive of wanting to get this redone. Okay.
All in
It
favor
seemed,
to...
if I could, just the main reason being is that when we have had discussions during this session, the last 2 years over awnings, we seem to have too many different varying opinions. It needs to be there needs to be more consistency here, and I just would like to try to accomplish that.
It's been second. I second the motion.
All right. All in favor to lay it over to the next meeting? Aye.
All right, item number 3, this is a order up by Council John Hanlon, creating an election commission.
Can we
If we
make a motion
could,
to invite Mr.
if we could hold this over because
Michael, Clerk Matarazzo's here to discuss it.
okay, if we could invite
Please invite.
City Clerk to come up.
A copy of the law. Yeah, I'll be brief because this is a lot that I have to take back in.
But on the information I gave the committee, basically shows what the clerk's office does now. Then it shows how things have changed under the Help America Vote Act and what needs to be done in the course of an election. I know that people show up on election day and there's people working there and there's booths and there's ballots and there's a machine that you can put the ballot in. All that just starts with an incredible amount of work. And as you look at the election info that I put there, I put an asterisk next to everything that's done now that wasn't done previous with the old machines. And it's just an enormous amount. And as you know, the Commonwealth, starting in 2016, is going to have a week of early voting. I believe elections have come to the point where it just can't be one of your many duties. You really need someone who concentrates just on elections and registering voters and doing the census and taking care of campaign finance reports. It really shouldn't be one of multiple duties. It's too important a function. It means too much to our democracy to have somebody doing it part-time, you know, having it one of many duties.
Councilor Napolitano?
I mean, I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
I've spoken over the years about things, how things have changed, and I've had similar conversations with Councilman Hanlon. Where does the register of voters fit into all this?
They originally will become the Election Commission. I serve on there. Mine will be replaced by somebody, or they all could, because I think most of their terms are up. So the Registrars of Voters office becomes the Election Commission office. And then the board, the actual Board of Registrars, becomes the Election Commission until replacements are appointed. And someone to replace me on the Registrar of Voters, that appointment will be immediate. That one would be immediate. Councilor Hanlon and I visited Revere last week and sat with their election commission to see how it works over there. Of course, Somerville has one, I believe Melrose. And so we met with Revere and saw how it worked and asked them, you know, is there really enough to do in the course of the year? Well, we always had a Registrar of Voters office up here, and, you know, they worked all year long because you have the city census to do, you have campaign finance reports, you have always Registrar of Voters. And on the other side of that, too, is once the election's over, I'm on to the other city clerk duties. Am I out there promoting people, to encouraging them to get out and vote? You know what? That should be happening. To me, like, elections is one of my duties, just one of a multiple amount of duties. There should be registration drives and encouraging people to vote and maybe having a banner down the square. Yeah, I think of these things now, but when the election's over, I'm just glad it's over and I'm back to doing city council work and licensing and investigating, you know, second-class motor dealers and it really needs somebody that concentrates on elections. And I think you'll see, I mean, we do a great job at it, but the promoting end of it is what's really missing as well. I mean, getting people out there and encouraging them to vote and running things at the high school, running things at the schools. That kind of thing is really what's missing because we don't have someone who concentrates on elections and solely on elections and voter registration. So if you want to go through that info, I mean, I know, and I'm going to provide it to the rest of the council, you know, as well. It seems as though every, you know, there's, like I said, there's a whole week is going to be taken starting in 2016, you know, on early voting. You know, basically taking my office and concentrating for a solid week on the early voting end of things. You know, it's just growing and growing in what they want you to do, and I think somebody needs to concentrate just on that. And I think the Election Commission's the way to make that happen.
You all set, Councilor Napolitano? I just had a question from the chair.
Yeah.
When you went to visit Revere, you said, do you have a cost, how much it costs to run that department?
Actually, it would cost whatever my office gets on elections. That would be for printing ballots and things like that, all that kind of stuff. And the cost of the registrar of voters office, the way it is now, with 2 people. In fact, I spoke to Mrs. DePiero, and she said that they don't think they would need to add anyone. Maybe during the 2 weeks before the election, maybe somebody part-time or temp. The only increase in cost would be whatever you pay the 4-member board. And those usually get $1,500 a year, $1,200 a year, whatever. You know, the boards get maybe $2,000 a year, or so that's the only new cost would be whatever the, and that's not really a new cost because you pay the registrars of voters $1,200 a year, I believe. So it's only going to be an increase of, you know, if you decide to increase that $1,200 to say $1,500 or $2,000.
Thank you.
All right.
We make a motion to lay this over to the next meeting? All in favor?
Yeah, just for, that's gonna be the only piece. Yeah. All right, item number 4, this is order offered by Council Frank Capone as president to fill the assistant city clerk position.
We're gonna make a motion to lay this over to September 24th. It's just for interviews. Just for interviews. That would be the only piece on. All in favor?
Item number 5, this is ordinance offered by Council Michael K. Marchese to provide a description for hydrant markers.
We invite Council Matarazzo, sorry, the Council Matarazzo, City Clerk.
Yeah, we, on this one, we needed a description of the hydrant marker. And I spoke with Mr. LaRiviere and got that, so all we need to do to finish this ordinance is to increase the, is to insert the specifications on the hydrant marker. We had no description of it, and so I just put TB, you know, to be determined. So I got them, I gave them to our clerk committees, so if the description gets in there, then the, if the motion is to amend it by including the description provided by Mr. LaRiviere, then we'll be all set.
Council Napolitano?
Is this the description right here about the fiberglass markers?
Did you put it in there? Yes. Yes. We took that right off the specifications on what we, on what we bought.
And this is the same type that we're using right now out there?
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. I think it's a great idea. I mean, I was up in Maine, and I lived up there, and I never saw them. All of a sudden, they're everywhere. This isn't a new idea. This is an idea that's catching fire
Right.
everywhere.
I was just told that it's, you know, it's been working well so far and that they're up everywhere.
Under the new fire code, it's not a requirement, but it makes common sense, especially after last winter. It'll be worth their weight in gold if we have another winter like that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was
Let's go.
interesting, too,
Council,
because...
can we invite the
Yes,
gentleman
right.
up, please?
Yes, please.
Can you please introduce yourself?
Captain O'Brien, Everett Fire.
Thank you. Go ahead, Council Napolitano.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great, and I was even, it was kind of funny to watch some kids walking by, playing with it, like pulling it down and having to come back and whack them with it. So I thought that was kind of, you know,
Yeah, there's a learning curve.
appropriate, you know. Yeah, so, yeah, I think it's a great idea. I mean, like I said, I first started seeing them over in Somerville. It's the first place I saw them, they seemed to be more like rebar, just, you know, wrapped around the, one of the covers.
One of the connections, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, there's many variations of a similar
No-
design.
No flexibility, and
Yeah.
there's potential there for trouble.
Yeah, we were concerned, actually, Ernie LaRivere is the lead on this, and he did a magnificent job in Everett. We looked at that particular model, and the concern was that if the Stotz connection of the cap, the steamer cap became loose, that pole would fall to the side and become a trip hazard.
Right.
So we decided to go with the spring motion.
I have no further questions.
Council Simonelli?
Thank you, Madam Chairman, to you, Captain?
Yeah.
Just, I'd like to know, just like generally, your input on this thing, any ways that you can improve it, or you wanna just specify little things, anything you can add?
Just having them on the hydrants now is anticipating a winter is a vast improvement over what we dealt with last year. We spent several weeks looking for hydrants. With these markers, that won't happen.
The only difference with this is that it will require hydrants on private properties to do the same. Right now, the city's done it all. The ordinance will require those with hydrants on private property to do the same.
Thank you. I have to give Councilor Marquez a good hand for putting this together with the fire department. I think it's a great thing. It should
Water
have been done a long
department,
time ago. Fire department, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Either one.
Okay, thank you.
From the chair, do you find a lot of them being broken from, after you put them on, that kids are breaking them or anything?
I haven't heard of any broken yet.
Okay, so it's,
They're pretty durable,
yeah.
yeah.
No, I think that's a good idea, too. I think this was great. Good thing that we've gotten to do this. Council Napolitano?
I mean, I have seen, I want to say it's off of Warren Street. I saw one that would seem like it was bent a little bit. I mean, the spring's going to eventually wear.
Right.
If too much pulling on it. Is there anything that monitors, to at least double checks to make sure that they're still?
So that would be a typical day-to-day thing between Ernie and his crew and the fire department and us being out on the road. When we see things like that, you know, it gets moved on up so that it's addressed.
All right, that's really my.
Warren?
only- I think,
we'll take
don't
a
hold
ride
me
by.
to it, I might be wrong.
Yep.
I don't get my coffee till I get to work, so. But no, I think it's great, and I commend you for it. I mean, it seemed like it just happened. At first, it seemed like it was every other hydrant and then everything, so.
Yeah. Ernie was right on top of it. He
Yeah,
did a great
it's a
job.
good job,
Yeah.
good job. I know, I have no further questions.
All right, buddy.
On this piece, we'll make a motion to send it out with the recommendations, with the correct wording, favorable action. All in
Second the
favor?
motion.
Aye.
So moved. Everybody, motion to adjourn, all in favor? Ayes have it.